Let's go.
Wednesday afternoon.
Fourth or fifth. I think they're fourth at the moment after their 4-0 win last night. But I think before anybody says, oh, the old Chelsea are back, then with due respect to Southampton, they're clearly as good as relegated. It seems that perhaps their level, their team quality has gone down a bit. And when you're losing, you get a negative momentum, don't you? It's very difficult to do anything positive and win a game. So they clearly are as good as relegated. So for Chelsea, who still have some very good footballers, let's face it, for them to beat Southampton 4-0 isn't necessarily a statement of a change of fortune, the problems being turned around. I don't think it is that. They just do seem to have some issues. And we know in recent weeks, maybe not quite months, but in recent weeks, they've lost some games. They've not been the Chelsea we thought earlier on in the season as possible champions, which they were being touted as possible champions. Yeah. But then you say they are still fourth. And it just shows the competitive nature of it, really, apart from Liverpool, who I think are about 11 points ahead, something that they were a day or two ago anyway. When you think of that, they're doing brilliantly. I mean, it was a very good, I don't know whether you saw it, the game between Liverpool and Manchester City at the weekend. Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't expect it, but Liverpool completely dominated the game. I say you wouldn't expect it. You might expect almost a draw or a closer defeat for Man City, but they really outplayed them. And okay, Manchester City didn't have Haaland, and clearly they lost their target man on that. But it was still a one-way game, which shows how far ahead of most of the teams Liverpool are. But really the rest, I mean, even Arsenal have had hiccup after hiccup lately, so then they're not being quite the force or competition for Liverpool we all thought they might be. So I suppose the fact that the teams there or thereabouts, even Forest, I mean, they're still doing pretty well, but they lost a game recently, a couple of games, I think. But they are in the mix. I mean, they may be third as far as I can remember. So that does mean that Chelsea, despite a number of losses, are still there. And Man City, I mean, I think they're pretty much up there, maybe fifth, sixth, thereabouts, having lost and drawn lots of games this season. So I don't know. I suppose it makes for a more interesting and competitive league season for the Premier League. We don't like to see one team dominate everything every season, even though Man City have done that for the last few years. So it's good to see another team up there, Liverpool, but it would also be good to see the others coming through, be it Chelsea, Forest. I mean, they're doing very well. And I have to say, the way Palace have turned around these last, this long away run, they've not lost an away game, I think, since late October or else very early November. We've won the last four 2-0 away games. It was the home form that was the problem. And last night, Palace beat Villa 4-1, which is a bit of a thumping, let's face it, for an otherwise very good team. Villa are a very good football team, and they're still in the Champions League, as we know. So that was a great result. And I think the general thinking is, not just by Palace fans, but by pundits, if Palace had had the same results broadly at home that they've had away, they'd be right up there. They would be right up near the top. The hope that the hopes are up for next season again, really, because they seem to have settled into a very strong unit. It's the same team pretty much week after week, with good substitutions being made, and with players like Adam Wharton, who come back from a long injury a few weeks ago, and he started the game last night. And I can only say, even as a biased Palace fan,
Southampton and the ladies, Dr. Gladys and Phantom and Rose, we all have a lovely show every weekday, so join us for a lovely show.
Say hello to Phantom, Dr.
substitutions being made, and with players like Adam Wharton, who come back from a long injury, a few weeks ago, and he started the game last night, and I can only say, even as a biased Palace fan, he was brilliant. I mean, Thomas Tuchel, the New England manager, was there, which I was pleased to hear, because I could see Wharton being a fixture in the England team for a good few years to come. He's got an ability. He just knows where all of his players are. He's very often one-touch pass. He's always available. He gets the ball and he lays it off perfectly, the weighting of the pass and everything else. He was involved, I think, in 3 of the goals, like 3 assists of the 4 Palace goals. Magnificent footballer. And he's only 21, 22. So he's got a future ahead of him, provided he stays injury-free. So, yeah, that was a good one. And I think you'll find he'll be in any England squad after a performance like that last night. So, yeah, I think it's a good competitive league. Chelsea, to come back to the point, they probably have picked up a bit. A 4-0 win, even against a low team, will enhance their confidence, give them a bit more momentum. So it will be interesting to see what happens at the weekend, although the weekend, of course, is the Cup, so it'll be the weekend afterwards. But yeah, I think Chelsea will do okay. I just don't like seeing Palmer having to take all the criticism from the management or whatever. I mean, you mentioned what are the problems, and you know, I think the owners, Todd Bowley and the other fellow, clearly love their football. They love their football club. They certainly seem to be quite ruthless in terms of managers, but maybe as with Manchester United, there comes a point where owners would have to think, look, we cannot just keep changing manager and expecting things to be different. So you like to think they will give Enzo a fair crack of the whip, because he was manager of Leicester, wasn't he? And of course, it looks like they're going to be going down as well, possibly.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I wish Chelsea well. I've always liked Chelsea. They're a good footballing team, and I just hope that, you know, things work out for them.
Yeah, I mean, just deviating from men's football, just for a bit. I saw the game, the England game, England women's.
Oh, right.
Yeah, against Portugal, I think it was, and I think it finished draw. But I think we scored first. England scored first, and in the first half. So going into the second half, Portugal was trailing 1-0 behind. But then the second half was a complete disaster on part of England.
Southampton and the ladies, Dr. Gladys and Phantom and Rose. We all have a lovely show every weekday. So join us for a lovely show.
Say hello to Phantom.